The way that I do self-care is using something that I call Fab Four and More. They're activities that I use, and they've evolved over time. I'm going to discuss more about those as we go on. Um, they're activities that I use for my own self-care, and I actually use them for my clients. So they're absolutely integral into my personal and my professional life. And I invite you to explore more as I share more, see if they fit for you or not. Um, it means that I walk my talk. I'm not telling my clients to do what I am not doing. So it is very much about having that integrity. Um, anyway, I just want to tell you why they're called the Fab Four, or they were originally called the Fab Four. Now they've become the Fab Four and More. Fabulous is abbreviated to Fab, so that's why it's called Fab Four, because the person who named it, who I'm just going to talk about, they were fabulous. They became the Fab Four, and also because coming from England, then the association with the Beatles makes it a little bit more fun as fun of a name, and it's just stuck. So these are the four. These images demonstrate the original Fab Four activities. What you're looking at and what these images represent, just to go through them briefly, and we'll go through them in much more detail in a minute. So the lady in green, that is to demonstrate, I really resonate with this picture because this is very much me leaning up against a tree, a regular practice of mine, but it's sensing in. What can we sense? What can we feel using all our senses? So that's the first activity. It's nothing fancy, but very profound, as we'll come to see. So that's number one. Or they can be done in any order, but the way that they're on the top, and they do tend to be the way. In the person in yellow, that's sort of like a self hug, but it really demonstrates rock. It's hard to find images to completely show what I wanted to demonstrate, but that demonstrates rocking to me. So rocking is number two. The person in white, that sort of looks like she's got her attention downwards, and that's my image for breathing, which we'll come to in more detail later. And then the person with the beautiful blue water black drop, this is a cranio exercise. I call it a cranio exercise. I'll give you more understanding what that's all about. So anyway, those are my Fab Four. Now I want to tell you why they're called my Fab Four, and there's a very special reason for that. Before COVID, I used to meet and work with people in person, and the person that named these, and I always said that whenever I spoke about them, I'd tell the story about how they became their name, because I think it really demonstrates the depth of this work and the power and the width and the huge expansiveness that the impact it can have. I was working with a very, very sweet, dear, challenged teenager. I'd been recommended to work with her, or I'd been recommended to them through a colleague. And I first of all spoke to the parents of this young person, and obviously it had to be with her approval that we could do the work. And so we agreed that we'd meet in a cafe, first of all, just to see how she'd feel, so that it was all as easy for her as possible, and she really could decide whether she wanted to work with me or not. She had eating disorders, very, very severe self-harm issues, and they really were at the end of the road as to what they could do to help her. I took advice at the time. This was, my early days of SSP, really. I'd had quite a bit of experience, but cautious. Well, always cautious when I'm taking on a new kind of case. and I reached out to someone in the States who had worked with similar cases to give me confidence, because I had to feel that I was doing the right thing as well. Anyway, this dear young person decided that she would like to work with me, and so she came here to my home, and instead of working in this therapy room where I used to see clients in person, I decided that it was probably best if she was in my living area, because that would be more familiar for her, and I didn't want to make it any clinical. She'd had so much clinical work done, and I wanted to make it work as much as possible in getting her system into a place where she could trust and let her defences down. And we worked together. She didn't speak very much, but we did lots of artwork together, and the SSP really seemed to make a huge difference to her. We worked slowly, and just to show the difference it made to her, when her father came to collect her after her final session, he said he could never thank me enough, because they felt that they got their daughter back. So that's the kind of impact that this work can have. This dear person, we used to do artwork, and then the time was coming to the end. We'd come to the end of the 5th hour, and we'd been doing these activities, these 4 activities, and she wanted to have something to put up in her bedroom to remind her of these activities, so she could continue to integrate them as her self-care going forward after we stopped meeting. And so I helped her. She wanted my help in how we'd put that together with some artwork. And she came up with the name, the Fab Four. Then my Fab Four just came like that, and it just seemed lovely. And so whenever I say the word Fab Four, she's still in my mind. And I think it's just such an important part to remember that the impact this work can have with us, and then how it can go on and grow outside the therapeutic setting. And certainly in my life is how I use this work for my own self-care. And I see that over and over again with my clients who I share this with. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you.